What's it like for you being a girl? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you ever like thought about that? Like what does it mean to be a girl?
In the world, or in like the music industry, or in this like band, you know?
In the world in
'Cause
general.
it's so different for each one.
Yeah.
It's such a learning process, you know, and my idea of it changes so much all the time, like the older I get and stuff like that. I'm getting to the point now where, and the idea of like feminism to me changes all the time too, which is really strange, but I'm getting to the point too where like it's okay to be any kind of woman that you want to be, and I wish that the world would see that. Like if you want to be like this like badass sort of seeming like tough girl with like sleeves of tattoos, not that I'm saying that I'm like a tough girl, because I'm fucking not, but like, you know, then be that. If you want to be like a Paris Hilton-y type with like, you know, a little dog and like an expensive handbag, then like be that and be free to be that, you know? Like I just wish the world would embrace like every kind of woman, and I feel like it's always this judgment on like you know, like goth girls hate this and this kind of girl hates that, and it's like guys don't do that at all. Maybe they do to a certain extent, but not like they're not so aggressive and sort of mean about it, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was surprised about how mean some girls could be, actually.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem too is like the internet. You're anonymous, you know?
Yeah.
And it's real easy to like lash out at people, even if you don't necessarily mean it, but you can just like, if you're feeling sort of like bad about yourself and not in control of your life, it's super easy to like fucking verbally vomit all over somebody and like turn off your computer and go to bed and not have to be accountable for that. And as I get older too, it's sort of interesting because when I was in high school, I was a total asshole. Complete asshole. Like,
you were?
Kind of. I mean, not really. I was a nerd. Like, I was the weird art girl in the corner that like I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 19. Like, nobody wanted to date me. I was also like huge, like big fat girl making like weird pictures, like whatever. Couldn't get a date to save my life. I was really unhappy, like, you know. And I love to go around calling people sluts. Love to do it. And the truth was that like I was not getting any action whatsoever. So it was super easy for me to be like, you know, like, oh, you're a slut, you're a slut, you're a slut. And then as I got older, I realized how fucking absurd that term is. Like, a slut. Like, what the fuck does that mean? I would never call anyone that now. Like, it's just and I kind of, I don't know if you agree, but like, a slut is such a specific adjective too, and anytime there's like an adjective that only describes one gender, I think it should be stricken. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't like call a guy a slut and mean it like in that same sort of like cut you to the core kind of insulty kind of way, then fuck it. Like, it shouldn't even exist.
True.
So, you know, but you just get older and then you get over that stuff. So it's hard because, like, you look back and you understand where they're coming from and where they're at, but as a human, it still fucking hurts, you know?
Yeah. I never would have pictured you like that.
Really?
Yeah, because you seem...
Oh, I hate to admit it.
Yeah, you seem so nice and so sweet and open-minded, and I wouldn't have thought that about you.
Well, I'll tell you, it took me starting to sort of like myself before I got there.
You had to like yourself first, and then you could like other people.
Kind of. I think that's how it is with most people. I don't think like people are shitty because they're like confident. Like, they're shitty because they feel bad about themselves and they're like putting it on other people. I think that's always the core of it.
Why? I mean, why does it help to lash out at other people? Don't you kind of feel more miserable when you do that?
I think, yeah. I think ultimately, like, it hurts your soul, but at the time you maybe feel empowered for maybe 20 seconds.
Do you think it's something that is in people, or do you think that it kind of gets put into you by other people or media?
Oh my god. I think like society and media have like a huge responsibility with that sort of behavior, for sure. I mean, it's just like over and over and over and over the way, like, you know, women are portrayed in the media and treated, and like it's sort of like you're as good as what your package is, what you look like.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because like I've been in a band for 7 years, and the best thing that I could have ever done for myself was not know how to play the bass before I started, because it fucking freed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that being said, I am not a fucking superstar bass player. I'm a great performer, and nobody can take that away from me.
True. Yeah.
Nobody. Well, okay, that's not true. If people attack me, sometimes they say I'm a shitty bass player, and I say, you know what? Fine, fuck you, it's true. But do a backbend and like fucking play this bass line. I dare you. But mostly they say that I'm ugly, or I'm a skank, or whatever. That's the attack, and I just think that's really interesting, because it's so fucking meaningless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, like, when I got involved with Mindless, like, I didn't know how to play bass, and I was looking at it as sort of this, like, story to tell. Like, when I got asked to audition and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't have any business doing this shit, but this is fucking hilarious. And even, I can't lose, because even if I bomb this audition, I get to go and tell my friends, like, dude, you're never gonna believe this. I, like, auditioned for this band, mate. Can you believe that? And, like, the X, Y, and Z happened, and, like, we'll have a laugh over it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that, you know, I got the part, but I also, like, that was pretty. Have I ever told you about that?
No, you didn't.
Oh my god, it was great. It was great. I actually had an art show. It was my first art show. I went to art school, and I was so excited about it. It was my first one in New York City, and I had, like, it was a group show, and nobody fancy. It was just like me and a bunch of my friends, but it was my first showing, so I was really proud. And I got a phone call, and it was the manager of Mindless, and he was like, hello, this is blah blah blah, I'm the manager of Mindless Self-Indulgence, I hear you play bass. And I had been friends with the door guy at CBGB's, and told him a lie that I was a bass player, and that me and my friends were starting this band. It's not exactly a lie. We did have this band, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was basically just banging on the E string the entire time, like, whatever. So Mindless was looking for a bass player, and he was like, oh, I know this girl, she would be perfect. Here's her phone number. So he calls me up, and I've never heard of Mindless Self-Indulgence before, whatever. My art show is that night, so I think I'm real fancy. Like, I'm very excited. And I also think, like, this is like the shit your parents talk to you about when you move to New York City. It was like an after-school special where, like, some pervert calls you up and is like, hey baby, do you want to audition for this part? And then you go and they're like, yeah, you look real good, why don't you take your shirt off? You know what I mean? And, like, it's all over. So immediately that's when I, like, red flags were everywhere, and I was just like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let me tell you about me. I'm having this art show tonight. Maybe you want to come by. And I gave him the address, not thinking anything of it. So I go to my art show, very excited, watching people look at my art, watching them all stand around going like, oh my god, who is this fucking crazy person? And, like, they were all, like, shocked, horrified, but some people were really delighted because my artwork's kind of dark and funny and, like, I don't know, disturbing.
Yeah.
So they're all looking at it, and they're all, like, reacting to it, and it was so exciting. So I felt like I was 10 feet tall. It was, like, the coolest thing ever. So this dude comes up to me in the middle of it all, and he was just like, are you Lindsay? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I knew it. He was like, I'm the manager of this band, whatever. Here's the CD. And on it was the cover of Frankenstein Girls, which is done by Jamie Hewlett, who I am a huge fan of. Yeah. So I was like, oh my god, this shit's like legit. Like, anyone who's associated with Jamie Hewlett has to be cool. So I was like, I talked to him. He's like, you should audition, blah, 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 blah. So I take it home and I listen to the CD, and I loved it for 10 minutes, and then I was like, I have to turn this off and burn it because it is so fucking annoying. But then the craziest thing happened, because the next day I woke up and I was like, I really want to hear it again. And I listened to it for 15 minutes and I loved it, and then I was like, I have to turn this off, it's fucking annoying. But I kept wanting to hear it, and then I was hooked. I loved it. I thought it was fucking amazing and brilliant, and like, I couldn't believe it existed, and I couldn't believe I didn't know about it, and I was like, wow, now I really want to do this. So I called up a friend of mine who was a really great bass player, and I was like, dude, you have to teach me how to play these songs. And he literally came over and was like, this is tablature. Like, I didn't even know what tabs were. Like, that's like, you know, like the simplest, you know what it is.
Yeah.
So I get a phone call and they're like, okay, you're gonna audition at this day, whatever, you're gonna play these 3 songs. So I was like, fuck. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get into this band on like bass talent alone. There's no way. I'm gonna have to do something. So I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? So the day comes, right? I'm shitting my pants. I'm so fucking nervous. Oh god. I can still feel it. Like, when I think about it, it was like sheer terror. And so I go into this tiny room with really low drop ceilings, and our manager sits in front of me with a video camera on me, like arm's length away, just like filming me the entire time. And he's like, okay, we're gonna play these 3 songs. So we go through the 3 songs, and I like jumped around. I broke my fucking bass strap. It fell on the ground, whatever. I was like fumbling around. I was trying my hardest, whatever. They all seemed very unimpressed. So he's like, okay, we're gonna do it again. So we do it again, bit of the same, jumping around, whatever. Steve has his back to me the whole time, will not even look at me. Steve. Will not even look at me. Jimmy's jumping up and down doing his thing. Finally, Gallus is like, okay, we're gonna do it one more time. And I was like, shit, I gotta do it. So we play Tornado, and in Tornado there's 10 seconds in the middle of the song where the bass drops out completely. So I'm like, okay, fuck, I'm really scared, but I have to do it. This is like my one shot. So, I can't believe I did this. So in my bra, I had this film canister filled with Bacardi 151, and I take the shot, and I have in my pigtails, like matchsticks stuck in my pigtails so no one could see, and on the head of my bass sock was a strike pad from matches, like glued onto it. So I have the shot in my mouth. Gallus is immediately like looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing? I take the matches out of my hair, strike it against my bass, and blow fire all over the room, almost setting the place on fire, almost setting Jimmy on fire. Everyone stops instantly. He like drops the camera. Everyone's looking at me like shocked and delighted, and they're like, the jaws open, and I was like so proud. I couldn't believe I just fucking pulled this shit off without like causing any serious, you know, damage. And they're like, welcome to the band.
That's great.
That was that. So anyway, after that whole long story, my point is, and this goes back to like women too, is that I feel like there's so much pressure that people are, especially girls, are afraid to do something and be bad at it. And I think that you should just, doing it is more important than how fucking good you are. And the fact that I went into this situation and sort of fell ass backward into it and just kind of wung it forced me to be fucking horrible and okay with that. And at the same time, it was very freeing, because if anyone talks shit about me, I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. I've been playing for 2 weeks. So suck it. Do you have the balls to play in front of 4,000 people after playing for 2 weeks? I don't think you do. And that was like amazing for me. Mm-hmm. And I just think that if more people just tried, just simply tried, then that it's not about being good or bad. It's about like having the courage to just put yourself out there, and that's like the difference. Yeah. You know?
Oh.
So there's your interview. No, but yeah, my first show was with System of a Down in front of 4,000 people.
Fuck.
It was terrifying, and I was awful, you know. It was really bad for a long time. I was really bad, but you know, I learned, and I always had a good time and a good sense of humor about it, and that's also really important. To this day, I don't take myself seriously. Like, I know I have no like fucking delusions of grandeur about like my place in like the world of musicians. However, I do not want to be one of them either. Do you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I think it's a good thing.
Oh, me too.
But it's like, I mean, what is professional? It all comes down to that definition. I mean, you have your place in that band.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you were meant to be there, and if you can't play the bass that well, does it really matter?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And also it depends on like, it depends on, you know, what you're going for, you know?
Yeah.
As a kid and like growing up and stuff, things that were like important to me were not necessarily skill. I was always more drawn to performers and not musicians.
Yeah.
Like if you stood me in front of someone who was, you know, the most amazing guitar player, bass player, drummer in the world, and they noodled around on their instrument, I would fucking be bored to tears. If I went to a show and someone pissed on their guitar, set it on fire, and threw it at me, that would be the best show I'd ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of always like where I came from, and I guess that explains a lot. You know?
Yeah, but I think it all comes down to emotion and how something makes you feel, and that doesn't mean that it needs to be perfect in one technical way. It's what you get out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people seem to forget that, and especially critics. I think some of the criticism out there is like totally unjustified, because they don't even know what people get out of it. So how can they even criticize something if it's like they only criticize a technical part, or they're like complete snobs about those things.
Oh, it's so stupid too. Like, I don't even know how people get paid for that shit, to be honest with you. It's like fucking like, it's like art. You like take someone and stick them in front of a painting, and like they could be like, this is like the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my life. And then I could look at it and be like, actually, I kind of think it sucks, and neither one of us are wrong. And music is exactly the same way. So, you know, FTW, Bridget. FTW.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's true. It's the same thing that they say about us sometimes, about Tasted TV. I mean, the things that we do are, I mean, we're not professional camera people. I don't always know what I'm doing. I never learned for something like that. My English isn't perfect. I have an accent, stuff like that. I know they're more beautiful people, but does that really matter? I mean,
no.
Yeah, it's like sometimes people just, it's like in real life. Sometimes people stay at this stage where they focus on the package and they don't really look at the content.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it's definitely true. I hope that changes for sure. I don't know why, I'm just programmed differently, and I have a feeling you are too, but like, I'm just not drawn to perfect packages, and I'm like way more interested in seeing like something with a little dirt on it, you know?
Yeah.
More character. Like, I would much rather see someone with a fucking scar in their face than like perfectly smooth skin, you know?
Yeah.
It's just tells more of a story for me, and it looks like you lived more, you know?
Yeah, and I've gotten to a point now where I don't even see that anymore. It's like I'm really kind of not proud but happy about that. If I look at a person, I'll look at their exterior for 5 minutes, but then afterwards I'll get to see what they look like on the inside. And sometimes someone who's really, really beautiful will be completely ugly after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the other way around.
It's amazing. It's so fucking amazing. That happens, like, that's life. That happens like every fucking day too.
Yeah.
And some people are really attracted for me anyway, like really fucking weird reasons.
Yeah.
Like a weird walk, or like I get attracted to people because of the way they walk a lot. I don't know why.
You do?
Oh yeah. I think it says a lot about you for some reason.
Shit. My brother always tells me that I walk in a very bizarre way.
I probably would think it was awesome.